So, as daft as it sounds, very often you need to explain really simple, obvious answers to a lot of Brexiteers, but especially Brexit supporters. For example, it costs money to send stuff, and the further you send stuff, the more it costs money. But there are other ways you can get around this. For example, you can group small items together, but again, that creates weight, and the heavier something is, the more that also costs to send, shockingly enough. So, what are one of the biggest actual price increases we've actually seen? Well, in actual construction materials. In fact, in some of the construction materials that we have seen increase vastly in price since the post-Brexit period began. Wood has skyrocketed up by about 100%. Steel has gone up again by at least 100%. Most of the stuff has at least gone up by 100%. And this obviously is now costing, the construction industry. And where does all this stuff come from? Shockingly enough, most of it comes from Europe. And yes, there are, places in the UK, but we simply do not have the capacity to be able to fulfill all that order at once. And as a result, we are seeing a construction industry that is going, we can't get supplies anymore, prices have risen, and this is going to increase the cost of construction, which is in turn going to have a massive knock-on effect for, again, building new houses and the price of new houses. And not only that, but building new infrastructure and all sorts of kind of stuff that we want to build. So this is going to have a massive knock-on effect for the rest of our economy, as very often price increases on these types of things normally do. So, before we jump into today's article, please do remember to hit that like, share and subscribe button. And of course, down below there is a link to my Patreon page, as well as a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me coffee. And also, don't forget, there is now the Pony Club as well, with a little join button next to the subscribe button. So, as always, thank you very much to those people who do support me that way. So, this comes from The Guardian, and the title it is, The UK Building Materials Costs Soar on Strong Construction Orders. So, a record surge in the cost of timber, bricks and steel sent construction industry costs soaring in May, as new orders across the sector grew in the fastest pace in 24 years. So, one reason why a lot of these things have been so cheaply and hasn't been affected really until May is because a lot of companies stockpiled heavily, as we saw in the run-up to Christmas last year, and this is why they were kept so low. But now those stockpiles are starting to run dry, shall we say. So, several shortages of essential building materials lay behind the increase in prices, as the combined impact of Brexit and the pandemic caused by supplies, many of them imported, had to be held up on their way to the UK. The majority of responses to a survey by the IHS Markit and the Chartered Institute of Purchasing Supplies, or CRISP, said that they were paying significantly more for raw materials, pushing the industry inflation past margins past the managers index from the average of about 55% last year to more than 90% in May. The figures represents 50 separate growths from construction. Many of the increase in activity followed the return towards previous high pre-pandemic levels of house building, said IHS Markit. The growth in commercial construction, covering warehouses, office blocks and factory building, followed close behind. At 65.2, up from 60.1 in April, the PMI covering all parts of construction industry slowed at a faster rate of expansion than the city analysts had expected. So, the increase was the fourth consecutive month of the construction sector growth and signalled the strongest rate yet for output of growth in just under 7 years, the IHS Markit said. Civil engineering activity also expanded sharply, but the rate of growth eased significantly than the past month. Tim Moore, the economics director at IHS Markit, said that the rate of the construction job creation was the fastest since July of 2014, and the subsequent use of subcontractors grew at the survey record pace. The UK construction companies reported another month of rapid growth of output amid a huge surge of residential work and the fastest rate in commercial building since August of 2007, Moore said. Today, the total of new orders increased at the strongest rate since the survey began, more than 2 decades ago. But supply chains once again struggle to keep up pace with the demand for this. And there are widespread shortages, and reports citing shortages of construction materials and wait times for suppliers have lengthened considerably in comparison to those seen during April. The imbalance of supply and demand led to survey record increases in both purchasing prices and rates charged by subcontractors. And like I say, these are going to have knock-on effects, shockingly enough, but that's how economics works. And if we can't get a lot of our construction costs from Europe, then this will put us in an even more worse place, because we are in, as many people will acknowledge, we are in a housing crisis. I like to go one step further and say we are teetering on the brink of a housing disaster. And I think that this, having a shortage of construction materials, and especially with Brexit being the number one reason, probably why prices are going up, this could have a huge knock-on effect. Because now if you can't build new houses at a rate that you want to anymore, it's costing you more for, the materials, the contractors, subcontractors. That means new house prices, will rise significantly. And this is something where I've often thought maybe the government needs to come in and actually start to dictate, how it can help the industry and keep house prices low, or try and drive them down. So maybe there needs to be, construction cost subsidies of cost of materials if there's building new houses, and even more, because we need more social housing, even better. Basically, go to the construction companies and say this: look, if you're going to build a new housing estate, and if you want to say, build a housing estate that is at least 60 to 70% social housing, then guess what? The government will help subsidise the cost of materials. That would be a fantastic way to help get more social housing built. But of course, our government doesn't seem to be interested in actually helping out in any way, shape or form. But like I say, these are just, some crazy ideas that we have on the left to actually help solve these situations. But, what do we know about solving problems? But anyway, as always, thank you for watching. As always, please do remember to hit that like, share and subscribe button. And of course, down below there is a link to my Patreon page, as well as a one-off donation link as well. And also there is now the YouTube subscription as well that you can join, aka the Pony Club. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next time.